Jamie,
Joe, what's
what's
going
up,
on?
man?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. How's life?
Everything's good.
Good.
Just winding down the school year. We've got a few days left, and you guys can go. Bye. Thank you. So we're yeah, you know how the end of the school year, just holding on.
I'm an IT technician for a school district here in Kansas City.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I get it.
You get it. You get it. Yeah.
I do get it. Well,
The weather is finally nice, and the sun is out, and
yeah,
yeah.
amen. Where are you located?
I'm in Racine, Wisconsin, which is
Oh,
just kind of on the north side of Racine, which is just below Milwaukee.
okay.
So
Yeah.
like 45 minutes from Milwaukee and just over an hour from Chicago. So like
Okay.
kind of nicely by Caden, nicely nestled halfway between, not quite halfway, but pretty close to halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago.
Yeah, right on, man.
I'm just
Well,
gonna close the door here. 1 second.
yeah, go ahead.
I gotta go across here. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, I've already played your music on the show. I really dug Awake Volume 2. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
yeah, and you're quite a designer. I love the album cover. Everything's
Thank you.
popping. Yeah.
Thank you. It's like, you know, the design thing is something that has been something that's turned into a whole other thing that not intended really to do that. But yeah, so I've been doing that a lot too, like on top of teaching and playing and stuff. So
Unexpected surprises in life are kind of what keeps things moving forward.
yes, exactly.
For sure. So how did you survive COVID as an educator and a musician? How did you get through that time period, and how relieving is it to have music out now?
Well, like everybody, I mean, the performance thing just went away completely.
Yep.
Which was a drag. Fortunately, I'm also a full-time high school teacher and have a design business. So I was busy for sure. Like we were still obviously classes were happening remotely at first, but we came back in person like right away in August the following school year. So we, you know, and it wasn't normal by any means, but it was certainly nice to be in person. You know, we took a lot of precautions, but you know, we were having classes. I was running band rehearsals outside in a tent as long as I could, and but as you mentioned, like it was different in that, you know, I wasn't gigging 3 to 4 nights a week like I normally am. So that part of my kind of creative life, I tried to fill in other ways, like everybody did, you know, whether it was like trying to get together via Zoom with friends just to talk or play. Even we, you know, tried to play together, which was difficult, not in person. But one of the big pandemic projects that I had was I formed a label of my own, a recording label of my own, which is called B-Side Recordings, and that was certainly my pandemic project. And I came out of the pandemic with, you know, what does a label even mean these days? You know, it's like it was just a Bandcamp site and a website and, you know, my music really. So, but it was a means for me to put things out, to release things. And so there were a couple of, in fact, I recorded a whole album remotely with a friend of mine who's like an electronic musician, and we released that, you know, released a physical product on cassette and download, and a few other like little singles that were projects that I was working on with people remotely. You know, getting that whole thing to get like a home studio together. I think just about everybody I know did that too, as a ways to, you know, send tracks back and forth with friends to make music together that way. So like a lot of people, I was doing all of those things. But ultimately, in a way, it's like I kind of look back and I kind of miss it in a way too, because I was home every night with my family. I have 4 kids, and you know, we weren't running around like crazy people, like getting kids soccer practice and dance rehearsal and lessons and things. You know, we were just all home having dinner together every night, and I kind of missed that too. That was like something that was maybe a positive out of it, you know.
Yeah.
But certainly, like everybody, you know, we look for creative ways to maintain our creativity and maintain our relationships musically and otherwise. So it was, but the label, I mean, to answer your question, the label was my big thing for, as a means for me to kind of stay creative during that time.
So, where were you born and raised? How did this jazz journey begin for you?
Yeah, actually right here in Racine, Wisconsin. Grew up here and went to college in Milwaukee at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. But musically, my journey is one I would say, which is, very poetic, seeing as I'm a middle and high school teacher now, is it was started in school, like probably a lot of people, playing in jazz band in 7th and 8th grade was my, like light bulb moment. Like I was playing in the trumpet in the band and whatnot at school, but like jazz for me was the eureka. Like, oh wow, I can improvise. I can kind of do what I want. And that was game over. Like 7th grade jazz band, and in fact, I just had lunch with my middle school teacher yesterday, who's retiring this year. And he, I point to him, Doug Klum, and he was like giving us the blues scale and like teaching us how to improvise with the blues scale, and a very rudimentary level, but it was so powerful to experience that, making music on my own terms, my own, inserting my own feeling and my own emotions into the music was much different than like reading the notes off the page. So I just immediately connected with that. So then I went to college around here in Milwaukee as well. And, immediately was like working, playing gigs, playing in bands, playing in clubs, from probably like the age of like 17 or 18 in Milwaukee quite a bit. And then over time, like, because of our proximity to Chicago's got such an incredible, rich history and music scene, connecting with that scene too a little bit. But Milwaukee too is a little bit under the radar, but it has a tremendous history and music scene as well that maybe most people don't know about. But yeah, so
So let's delve into that. What was the first live show you saw that really blew you away?
well, oddly enough, there was it's Racine is not a big city. I mean, maybe it's like 70,000 people. That's where I am now. And again, it's close to Milwaukee and not far from Chicago. But oddly enough, there was, or wasn't, there is a jazz series at the Racine Zoo, which is hilarious. They, it's a lovely little zoo, but they have a history of this incredible jazz series. And I saw Sonny Rollins at that thing. I saw Count Basie Orchestra with Joe Williams. I saw Paquito de Rivera and the United Nations Orchestra. I saw, I mean, I'm forgetting many, but even things like there's like Spyro Gyra was there. I think Chuck Mangione was there with like a quintet. It was, I mean, just kind of cool and a little unsuspecting that, this zoo would have this kind of crazy jazz series. So those were some of my first like live concerts, certainly. I remember seeing like Maynard Ferguson when I was in middle school in Kenosha, I think. And I saw Arturo Sandoval when I was like a young trumpet player. That was very foundational and very powerful experience too. So yeah, those were some of the first performances I think I saw.
Arturo is the best live show I ever saw up to this point. He came through for our
Oh,
Charlie Parker festivities here in KC,
right,
played at the Folly. The bedside
right.
manager, the bander, he was like a comedian,
Yeah,
entertainer, and musician.
right,
It's
right,
amazing.
right. Yeah, he's just bananas. Yeah, he's an incredible player
He
for
is.
sure.
He is
Yep,
bananas. That's
yep.
awesome. So, what stage did you get on early on in your career where you were like, wow, this is great. It's happening. I'm a musician. I'm here.
I would say probably, well, I mean, I feel like I'm not here yet, but it's still something I'm working on. But I don't know that. But I feel like I know what you're saying. I get the question. The point in which I felt like this is what I want to do, I guess maybe it was more probably college. And I was studying music education, obviously getting an education degree right out of the gate with, as soon as I graduated, I was just started teaching right away. And I've been ever since. But like maybe 18 or 19, 20 years old, like just like realizing that it was possible to kind of piece together a career that was both stable through teaching and like raising a family. Like I got married like right after college, and so like obviously I needed something that was going to be stable, provide benefits. That's not the reason I teach necessarily, but like as a young musician coming up, I was like, well, it's difficult to make a living as just a performer anywhere, like in the world. Like it's just tough and it's inconsistent. And there's a side of me that is not a risk taker per se. Like musically, I'm a risk taker, but like I would say personally, I'm not. And so that was coming out of college. I was like thinking, I want to be a teacher. It's a way for me to still be involved with music, but yet still have kind of a stable home and personal life. So, but playing wise, as I mentioned, like being in Milwaukee, it's a great scene. It's small, but it's vibrant and active. I was able to play a lot of gigs right away. Like if you can play at all and you're passionate and you're interested in performing, like it's a possibility there because there's not a lot of competition. Whereas a bigger city, a bigger scene like a Chicago, a LA, a New York, there's like competition over the whatever opportunities there are. Whereas in Milwaukee, there's not so much. There are gigs, definitely plenty of gigs, but it's not like you're vying for, peanuts just to, you go to New York and there's a zillion great players. Same with Chicago, and everyone is vying for whatever limited opportunities there are. And I didn't experience that. So I was able to get a lot of experience at a pretty young age.
So what do you like the best about being a part of the jazz community between education, recording, live music? What do you look forward to the most?
I think they're all sort of interconnected and interrelated. Like I don't really think of them as separate even. I mean, they are separate, definitely different skills and different necessities for each, but I feel like what I'm doing is all one thing, even including like the graphic design part. It's all just who I am and what I do. It's just, I don't separate them. So when I'm performing, I'm often inviting my students to come out. We did a release show this past weekend, and I had my high school combo play an opening set beforehand. When I'm at school, I'm constantly bringing in guest artists to play for the kids and work with the kids. And even similar with the design piece, that's something I share with my students, and obviously my own records, I design them myself. And so they're all just kind of this like nebulous like flow of all these different things that are kind of mixed together that I'm doing all at the same time usually. And I don't really think about it as different things necessarily.
What do you try to teach the kids? What do you want them to understand about music as they go out into their future?
It's a great question. The big point I like to hammer home is that it can be a lifelong pursuit, a lifelong joy, no matter what it is you do with your life. Because some of the best musicians I know are not musicians necessarily by day or by trade. They do other things, but are great players too. There's that, but then there's also just strictly like it's such a important and powerful tool to have as a human, to be able to express yourself and be creative. And this day and age in this society, it's such a rat race to make money and make a living and do this, do that, like have a nice home and a nice car and all that. But then like, are you really happy? Are you really fulfilled? And so, while these kids are going to go on and, very small percentage of them might be performers as a career, it's something that they can always have regardless of what their career is.
So why
So
do you, yeah, no, that makes total sense. So why do you love jazz?
I think it goes back to that, as I mentioned before, like that first experience in like 7th, 8th grade and playing in middle school jazz band, the feeling, the personal connection, and the ability to express oneself through music. And I think that I still get that kind of initial feeling of joy, and it's also connections with other people too. Like for me, like my best friends are usually the people I'm making music with at whatever particular phase of my life has been. So it's it's that interpersonal connection. It's that interpersonal expression, I guess, as well.
So if you could get into a time machine and see a dream show, where are you going to go? Who are you going to see?
Oh, wow. Put me on the spot here. I would say, well, my first love in jazz and music, I guess I would say would be Miles Davis, on the just trumpet wise. And I'd say if there was like one person who's maybe, if I had to pick one, I would love to see Miles. And I think my favorite of his groups is probably what they call the second great quintet, the group with Herbie and Tony Williams and Ron Carter and Wayne Shorter. That would be my, hypothetical dream island concert. I think would be that group, Miles' second group. Yeah.
My son is named Miles, so I get it.
Nice. There you go. There you go.
So everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, students, colleagues, but you are in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out every day, and it's a journey. And, I think any artist or any person even really probably struggles with that all the time. And for me, in being in the arts and being in music, and I think it's something that we're always searching for an identity, right? Like, who are we? What do we stand for? And, I'm figuring that out. I don't really have a hard answer for that one. But I know that it's involving music, and it's involving community, and trying to make the world better, in some possible way, in some existential way. Like, before I leave here, I want it to be, my mark to have been a positive one, I guess.
That's a hard answer. That's definitely that's concrete for sure. Jamie, if anyone wants to pick up Awake Volume 2, learn about live shows, anything pertaining to your world, where do they go?
So the record Awake Volume 2 was released on a wonderful label in Minneapolis called Shifting Paradigm Records. So if you Google up Shifting Paradigm Records, there's a whole lot of great kind of Midwest-based music on their label, which is really cool, and some other stuff too. But the thing I like about Shifting Paradigm is they're kind of Midwest-centric. It's based in Minneapolis, so there's a lot of Minneapolis and Milwaukee and Chicago artists on there that maybe don't get the profile of like a bigger New York label or something, or even Chicago for that matter. I mean, there's some great music coming out of the Midwest, and so Shifting Paradigm is putting a lot of that music out. Other than that, as I mentioned, my own label, my pandemic project, people can check out. It's just called B-Side Recordings. And so the website is bsiderecordings.com, and you can hear all of the music I've put out on my own through I guess the last 3 years since the pandemic. There's a number of things on there. And then my own personal website is just jamiebreiwick.net, JAMIEBREIWICK.net. And you can see some videos and some other releases and things on there, as well as some other tidbits I include on my website. It's like a whole page of like transcriptions and some other things too. So that's on the jamiebreiwick.net website.
Cool. Jamie, this has been great. Thank you for opening up. Thanks for your time. Best of luck with everything.
Joe, thank you so much. It's a pleasure, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely.